Hello everyone. So today I will be talking about how to solve simultaneous equations using substitution and elimination. So in the past few days, we have been learning about how to solve simultaneous equations through graphs. Now today, I want to talk about how are we going to do that using algebra. Okay, so I'll need all of you to turn your books to page 37, right, in which we will be talking about these two methods. Okay, so to make the link between solving graphically as well as algebraically, you will see here that there is two lines, right? So in the past few lessons, we've been talking about the two lines intersecting, which gives us a solution in x and y, okay? So in other words, I have two linear equations, and these two linear equations have two unknowns, right? The two unknowns are what we need to find as the solution. And these two unknowns, x and y, are what satisfies both linear equations, right? So that is what we are looking for when we are thinking about a solution, okay? But how are we going to do that algebraically? Meaning I just look at the two linear equations. How am I going to solve the equations, okay? So there is this method called the substitution method. So given two linear equations with two unknowns x and y, how do we substitute? Substitution would mean that I will express one of the equations in terms of one unknown, and then I will take that one unknown and substitute into the second equation. I will now show you an example of how to do such a thing. So can anyone tell me what does the word substitution mean? Okay, to substitute something, that means if I have something in a certain place, I use something else to put it in that place, right? So the first step is that, let's say I have x in a certain place. Is it possible to put a different value into the x? Something that represents the x. So that is what substitution is about. So let's say if I have x plus 3y equals 8, okay? That would be my first equation with two unknowns. And then I have a second equation with two unknowns, right? So I would label it by drawing a line, and then after that, putting the number, okay? So this one would be my first equation. So what I've done is to put the first one, dot, dot, and then write it out, okay? So what I want to do is I want to make x alone, okay? If x is alone, only then can I use my substitution, okay? So if I want to make x alone, I will now shift the 3y over, because that would be how x will become alone. And you realize that this, I can label it as my third equation. Okay, now that I've gotten x alone, what you realize is that x could probably be substituted into the second equation, right? Okay, so let me try that. If I were to do that, then it will be substitute the third equation, right, into the second equation, right? So I will get 2 times x, but instead of x, I will put 8 minus 3y, because x equals to 8 minus 3y, and then plus 5y equals to 13, right? So this has been the second equation. Okay, so if I were to do this, I would realize that 16 minus 6y plus 5y equals to 13, right? And if I were to shift my 16 over so that I can find y alone, I will realize that I'll get negative y equals to 13 minus 16, which gives me negative y equals to negative 3, and so y equals to 3. Okay, so what is the magic? By substituting x into the second equation, I have managed to make an equation in entirely y. Okay, so I have removed the x from the second equation and instead replaced it with an equivalent y expression. So by doing so, I am now able to solve to get y, and that is how I can solve also to get x. By using the third equation, I can say that x equals to 8 minus 3y, right? Which will give me negative 1. Okay, so now my solution would be that x equals to negative 1 and y equals to 3. So how about we try a more challenging question, but we try and do it faster, okay? So now we are trying to solve using substitution. Let me label the two equations, 1 and 2, okay? And then let us make x or y alone. So let me make y alone instead because it seems easier. So you will get 6x minus 2y equals to 19, which is the same as minus 2y equals to 19 minus 6x. And if you divide negative 2 on the other side, you will get 19 minus 6x over negative 2, which is the same as y equals to 6x minus 19 over 2. Okay, so now that I've gotten my third equation, right, let us try and substitute our third equation into the second equation. Okay, so if I were to do that, I will get 8x plus 5 and then 6x minus 19 over 2 equals to 10. And by doing this, what I want to do is to multiply 2 to all of the terms so I can get rid of the denominator, which means it's 16x plus 5, 6x minus 19, okay, and equals to 20. After this, I will extend to get 16x plus 30x minus 95 equals to 20. And if I were to shift everything together, I'll get 46x equals to 20 plus 95. And that will give me 46x equals to 115, x equals to 2.5. Okay, now I will use what I have in the third equation to write out that y equals to 6 times 2.5, which is the x we gotten just now, minus 19 over 2, right? Which gives me negative 2, okay? And so my answer would be x equals to 2.5, y equals to negative 2. Okay? Okay, to help yourself better, please try it yourself 6 and try it yourself 7.